Hi, boys and girls. Today you're going to hear a story about a hen that grows a plant called wheat and then uses it to make bread. Wheat is a type of plant called a grain, and people plant wheat in fields. Wheat is then cut down and taken to a mill where it is ground into flour. You can make bread dough with flour by adding water, salt, and yeast to it. When you go to the store and buy bread, that was made out of flour that was made by grinding wheat. In the story you will hear today, the little red hen decides to grow wheat and make bread, but no one will help her. Have you ever tried to do something hard without help? How did you feel when you were working alone to do something hard? The title of today's story is The Little Red Hen. Please listen carefully to find out who the little red hen asks to help her grow wheat and what those characters said. Once upon a time, there was a little red hen who lived on a farm with her animal friends. The little red hen worked hard every day. She picked up dirt to keep the barnyard clean and found worms to feed her chicks. The other animals on the farm were lazy. They didn't work very hard. They never helped the little red hen. They preferred to relax. One day, as she was scratching around in the barnyard, she found some grains of wheat. "We can plant these tiny grains and they will grow," thought the little red hen. So she asked, "Who will help me plant these grains of wheat?" "Not I," quacked the duck. "Not I," meowed the cat. "Not I," oinked the pig. "Then I will do it myself," clucked the little red hen, and that is just what she did. She planted the grains of wheat all by herself. Boys and girls, those grains of wheat are seeds, and the little red hen is planting them to grow wheat. None of the little red hen's friends will help her right now. How do you think she feels about that? Every day she checked to see how the wheat plants were growing. She pulled the weeds around them to give the wheat room to grow. By the end of the summer, those seeds of wheat had sprouted. Not only had they sprouted, they had grown into tall stalks of ripening golden grain. At long last, the stalks of wheat were ripe, and the wheat grain was ready to be harvested or gathered. The little red hen looked excitedly at the field of golden wheat. The little red hen asked, "Who will help me cut the wheat?" Boys and girls, what do you think the animals will say? "Not I," quacked the duck. "Not I," meowed the cat. "Not I," oinked the pig. "Then I will do it myself," clucked the little red hen, and that is just what she did. She cut the wheat all by herself. When she had the wheat cut, the little red hen sighed happily. Then she asked, "Who will help me grind this wheat into flour?" Boys and girls, what do you think the animals will say? "Not I," quacked the duck. "Not I," meowed the cat. "Not I," oinked the pig. "Then I will do it myself," clucked the little red hen, and that's just what she did. She ground the wheat all by herself. When the wheat had been ground into flour, the little red hen clucked cheerfully. Then she asked, "Now who will help me make this flour into bread dough?" What do you think the animals will say? Say it with me. Ready? "Not I," quacked the duck. "Not I," meowed the cat. "Not I," oinked the pig. Boys and girls, what do you think the hen will say? "Then I will do it myself," clucked the little red hen, and that is just what she did. She made the flour into bread dough all by herself. When she had mixed the dough, the little red hen joyfully fluffed up her feathers. Then she asked, "Who will help me bake the bread?" "Not I," quacked the duck. "Not I," meowed the cat. "Not I," oinked the pig. What do you think the little red hen's going to say? "Then I will do it myself," clucked the little red hen, and that is just what she did. And so all by herself, the little red hen baked a fine loaf of bread. As the bread cooked, wonderful smells rose up into the air. The smells were so good that the animals could almost taste the bread. Boys and girls, what do you think the animals are thinking now? Now, she said, who will help me eat the bread? I will, quacked the duck. I will, meowed the cat. I will, oinked the pig. Aha, clucked the little red hen. No, you will not. I planted the wheat all by myself. I cut the wheat all by myself. I ground the wheat into flour all by myself. I mixed the dough and baked it all by myself. And now I will eat the bread all by myself. And that is just what she did. She ate the bread all by herself. Boys and girls, now I'm going to ask you some questions about the story you just heard. The first question: what plant did the little red hen grow to make bread? The little red hen grew wheat to make into bread. Second question: how do you think the little red hen felt when no one would help her make bread? Third question: why did the little red hen eat her bread all by herself? The hen ate the bread all by herself because she did the work all by herself. Fourth question: do you think the little red hen should have shared her bread with the other animals? Why or why not? Boys and girls, as we read this story, you heard the word wonderful. I'm going to read that part of the story again. As the bread cooked, wonderful smells rose up into the air. Can you say the word wonderful with me? Wonderful. Wonderful means really good or great. In the story, the little red hen's freshly baked bread smelled wonderful. Another word you could use for wonderful is great. This girl is having a wonderful time. She is showing 2 thumbs up and smiling, so we can tell she is having a wonderful time. I think going to the swimming pool is wonderful. I have a wonderful time sitting in the sun and cooling off in the water. What is something you think is wonderful? What's the word we've been talking about that means really good or great? That's right, the word is wonderful. We are going to look at some pictures and I want you to tell me whether they are wonderful or awful. Awful is exactly the opposite of wonderful. Awful means terrible. Boys and girls, look at this picture. Does this show wonderful or awful? Wonderful. Wonderful or awful? Awful. Wonderful or awful? Awful. Wonderful or awful? Wonderful. Wonderful or awful? Wonderful. Wonderful or awful? Awful. Wonderful or awful? Wonderful. Wonderful or awful? Awful. Here is an optional at-home activity you can do with your child. Create a new version of the little red hen. This time, the hen will plant strawberries to make strawberry jam instead of grains of wheat for bread. Look at each picture together, then ask your child to tell this story. When finished with that, have fun making your own strawberry jam following the recipe.